Myst 4 is an adventure game from 2004, made mostly by Ubisoft with the help of Cyan Worlds, the creators behind the original Myst. It's also the Myst game I played the most growing up, which is why I'm talking about it instead of, the first Myst. It's a fairly relaxing experience. You mostly explore and solve some puzzles, and mystery is the large driving factor behind most of this. Before you get started, there's a few issues that need addressed. Myst 4 doesn't like to play nice with Windows 10, so you might need to download a DLL file for it to run properly. Beyond that, there's not much more setup needed, but if you want a widescreen mod, you're out of luck. The nature of the game means that any HD mods you install will incur technical issues, so you'll be playing this in 1024 by 768, the way God intended. Moving on to the game itself, it's very artistically impressive, and some of my favorite areas include Spire and Tamana. Spire's got this cool crystal, gothic cathedral thing going on, and Tamana just looks like a cozy place to live. To me, Haven is just the jungle place, and Serenia reminds me too much of Vermeer. The game's got a few rough spots technically. For instance, the transition from cutscenes to render can be a little jarring. The use of full motion video also means there's some green screen wonkiness from time to time. There's some cool little technical effects like depth of field and some 3D effects. There's also some neat environment interaction like with the water here. There's also a segment later on in the game that just feels like an early 2000s music video, which I guess it is. Speaking of music, the game has a ton of good tracks. I love pretty much all of it except for Haven, but that's just because I don't usually like jungle music. Spire's got these cool electric sounding synths and these drums, and Serenia sounds, well, serene. The music that plays in Tamana helps set the atmosphere perfectly. It's got these haunting chimes and electric sounds that sort of just drop in and out of the music. Later on, after you've explored some of the ages, the soundtrack adds this smooth-sounding bass line. As the game goes on, the music in Tamana starts to give you the feeling that you're starting to see the bigger picture. There's also some nice throwbacks to the original Myst 1 soundtrack as well. In addition to voicing one of the characters, Peter Gabriel also has a song in this game.
Close your eyes. Go to sleep.
It feels a bit out of place, but it's probably because it plays during that music video.
And there are lions on our curtains.
As for the sound effects, there's nothing that really stands out. Everything sounds how you'd expect it to sound. Basically everything you tap makes a noise though, so that's pretty neat. As for the gameplay, it's basically just a puzzle adventure. The puzzles themselves are easier than ever, and you even get a built-in camera and journal, so you don't have to have a notepad next to you. The fast travel mechanic is here too, so if you get tired of backtracking, you can always use that. A new addition to the gameplay is this memory necklace. Interacting with some objects will cause the necklace to glow and play an audio cue. Using the necklace will then show you a character's thoughts or memory on that object. This necklace is used in a few of the puzzles, and it can also be used on any journal to have that character narrate it to you. Between the necklace and the puzzle designs, this game is definitely one of the more merciful ones in the Myst franchise. This is especially true if you've just beaten the game back to back like I have. If you do get stuck on some of the rare exceptions to this, the game itself has a built-in Prima strategy guide in the menu. Stuff like the Spire tuning puzzle can be tricky if you don't know what you're looking for. Aside from the puzzles, this is a very comfy game and it's fun to just walk around and look at what the developers have created. There's a relaxing feeling to just walking around and taking in the environment. It's very serene, until you get to Serenia. Ironically named, Serenia has some of the most unfun sections in the entire game. One of the last puzzles of the game is a color matching puzzle. No logic or notes required, just move your hand until the pretty colors are all the same. Combined with a bug that could make my mouse jerk, this puzzle was pretty frustrating. There's also another section in Serenia that's not much fun, as it requires you to not move your mouse too fast or start over. Other than a couple of trouble spots, the game is infrequently hand-holdy, and it's usually not a huge challenge.
Now turn the left, try turning the center, try moving the slot, try the amplitude.
When I say hand-holdy, what I mean is the character will look at a puzzle and sort of explain it in a less than natural way. Take Yisha here, for instance.
Only a green light on top of a filled row means something's getting power. I wonder if we can move them.
I can't blame the actress because she's just, a child actress, but it could have been handled better. I will say the puzzles themselves fit into the world very nicely. They feel very integrated with the lore and setting of the ages, unlike some, other puzzle games. So what is the story about?
For 20 years, I've harbored a secret. People talk about my sons and the evil things they did. Yet still I remain strangely mute.
Basically, you play as longtime friend of Atreus. He's asked you to come to his home in Tamana to figure out what to do with his two sons. 2 decades ago, Cirrus and Akinar raided their father's Aegis for gold. They both got trapped in prison Aegis, and it was believed that Atreus burned the 2 books they were ensnared in. Turns out they've been alive this whole time, but Atreus wants you to help him figure out if it's time for them to be released or not. Before you get the chance to observe the 2 brothers, Atreus is forced to go to a different age, and his preteen daughter Yisha is kidnapped, presumably by one of the 2 brothers. Most of the story after this follows you figuring out which of the brothers is the most likely culprit by going through their prison ages. You're also spending this time trying to figure out where Yisha herself actually is. You eventually figure out where Yisha is being held, but I can't say more without spoiling it. During your trips into the 2 prison ages, you come to see how much confinement has really shaped the 2 brothers' personalities. Cirrus has become obsessed with finding a way out of his prison age and also getting revenge on his father. Akinar has somehow become less unstable than we first saw him.
Don't like it, do you, my friend? Ha-ha! Makes you sick. Spew your guts out.
He even managed to adapt to his prison age before he broke out. During your journey, you get a first-hand glimpse through the memory necklace of how the 2 brothers handled their respective ages. In Cirrus's defense, he was completely alone in the Spire Age, whereas Akinar had plenty of animals to interact with in Haven. If I had nothing to do but play with music rocks for 20 years, I'd go insane too. There's a wondrous atmosphere in poking through these 2 ages as you figure out what the 2 brothers have been doing to keep themselves occupied. The work they did in their prisons also shows a contrast in their personalities. Cirrus spent most of his time in pure academic study, trying to figure out a way to escape his prison. Akinar, being the less scientific of the 2, decided to instead focus more on improving his survival and hunting skills. Atmospherically, the environments of the 2 ages are also highly contrasted. Spire is cold and barren, and Haven is warm and alive. You eventually end up in Serenia, which is very tranquil compared to the rest of the ages previous. It also sort of has a contrast against Tamana, though not as much as Spire and Haven did with each other. Out of all the ages, I think Spire is probably my favorite. The visuals combined with the audio is just too good. Up next is spoilers, so if you don't want any of those, go to the time on screen. Before I talk about what you find on Spire, I should probably talk about the brothers' original plan. Originally, Sirius and Achenar planned on luring Atris to Serenia to take over his mind. Achenar grew distrustful of Sirius and split off before the two of them got trapped in their prison ages. While in Spire, Sirius revised his plan to take over Yisha's mind instead of his father's.
Not long now, Father. Not long before I show you exactly what a smart little girl can do.
He would do this in secret so he could learn how to write ages from his own father before killing both his parents. He would then swap his own mind back into his body and presumably write ages afterwards. Achenar catches wind of this and decides to stop Sirius. The player, however, isn't completely sure that Achenar isn't working with Sirius, and at the end of the game you have to make a choice. If you choose wrong, Sirius kills you with Yisha's body. If you've been paying attention, it's pretty easy to make the right choice here. After helping Yisha get her mind back, Sirius gets brain blasted and Achenar succumbs to the poison he inhaled while trying to help you out. You return to Tamana with Yisha, and although Atris is upset, he's happy that you could help him. And that's pretty much it. A simple resolution to a simple story. So that's Myst 4. Is it the best Myst game? Probably not. Is it the hardest Myst game? Definitely not. It is my favorite Myst title. There's a lot of charm and care put into the environments, and it's fun to just walk around and explore. The game does have some stinky moments, but all my issues are largely gameplay related. I'd at least recommend playing the first Myst before you play this one, but you can get both games on GOG for pretty cheap these days. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching.